Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I am Tracy Cram Perkins, and our show today is the Dementia Home Care Show. And I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio. I am a four-time dementia caregiving survivor and the author of Dementia Home Care. How to prepare before, during, and after. And I'm so excited because joining me today is Marie Ferrer of Seniors Helping Seniors. Marie specializes in teaching older adults how to recognize and avoid scams, among many other things. And today we'll be discussing how to help our loved ones with dementia avoid scams. Welcome, Marie.
Hi, good morning, Tracy. So excited to see you this morning.
And thank you so much for getting up this early because I know how early it is here. It's not even light out yet.
You
Oh,
can see the darkness
yeah.
behind me.
So I okay, for those people in the audience that don't know you, how did you start your journey with helping seniors?
Oh, well, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, dementia. Um, oh my goodness, in the early 2000s, and my siblings and I helped her to pass it home, and she survived her diagnosis 17 years
Wow.
thereafter. Yeah, it's a long time. And also, in starting Seniors Helping Seniors, I realized that people didn't understand really how to care for their parents, how to care for their loved ones. And so I started to read up on dementia and get some more formal knowledge, more than just the experiential that I had, and really start to dig in. And then, of course, I came across your wonderful book. Please read it. So I read your book. It was recommended to me, and I use it in my practice. By the way, we are a peer-to-peer in-home care agency, Seniors Helping Seniors, serving the Pierce County area of Washington.
Yay! And thank you so much because Marie reached out to me. I'm not even sure how long ago now, but not quite a year, I don't think. And we just started talking, and that's why we're here today. And oh my gosh! So for people that don't know, how you started from a different career entirely. So how did you do that transition? Because
So, thank you for asking. I actually worked on in New York City for investment banks on Wall Street for, my goodness, almost 30 years. And it came to a point where my husband said, I want to go back to the Pacific Northwest. And honey, I want to live on a boat. And I said, okay, let's give up our land stuff, everything on land, live on a boat, and come to the Pacific Northwest. That's how I ended up in the Tacoma area, which is beautiful, really beautiful. And then I just looked at what I wanted to do, and I saw that there were a lot of people that need care, and so I decided to do that.
and so how did you form Seniors Helping Seniors?
Seniors Helping Seniors is a wonderful franchise. We are international with over 250 franchisees all over the world. And it just so happened that Washington State did not have any Seniors Helping Seniors franchisees. So I went ahead and started that, and there's a wonderful, wonderful agency also. They're up north, owned by Kim and Tom Steggy, and they service the whole sort of Snohomish area.
Wow, wow. So, okay, so you've got the franchise and then you started working with people. How did it bloom from there? I mean, what direction did it start taking you?
I want to service seniors in the way that it's needed in the community where I see gaps.
Okay.
And where I saw a lot of gaps was in education. And it was very specifically a lot of my patients and their families, they were at least, had to deal with scams very frequently, very frequently. And I know personally, my mother in law was taken by a scam, a romance scam. So this is something that's very close to my heart, and I want very much for seniors and their families and their loved ones to be alert at all times, right? Um, oh, I know that when we talked last, there were some very recent scams. Just last week, I talked to a gentleman, and I was just crossing the street. He's like, "Hi, how are you? I haven't seen you here." I said, I'm caregiving next door. And so he started talking to me very openly about scams, and and these folks tried to get him for the grandfather scam. They put someone on the phone who was younger, pretended to be his grandson, and you all know the story. That person said, "I got into a bad accident, um, Grandpa, and I'm in jail now, and I'm in deep trouble, and could you please send money? And I'm far away, and I don't want to talk to my parents." That was just last week,
Wow.
right? He knew enough, this gentleman, he was savvy enough to say, you sound kind of like him, but I'm not so sure, right? So he hung up the phone, called his son, and his son said, "Nope, nope, your grandson's in school. He's not in jail. Absolutely, he's in school."
Wow. Wow. Okay, that's very painful, but very prominent. I mean, a lot of people
Yes.
are taken by that. But you've also dealt with a lot of other ones because I know we've talked about other scams in the past too.
Yes. So that grandparents camp has been around for a long time, but I mention it because it's still going around, right? And just last week in Gig Harbor, that's where that happened. So another scam that's very prevalent right now is the Comcast scam. Now this is just sort of, I focus on scams happening in the Pacific Northwest in our area, Tracy, right?
Mhm.
Because that's where our clients are, that's where our community is. And someone called me and said, "My mom just made a mistake and remembers Comcast, and she got something, in an email." So she called that number, and the folks at Comcast said, she needed to give a credit card and all that. And her daughter thankfully heard this conversation and said, "Mom, it's no longer Comcast, it's Xfinity. Please hang up on them." You know, hang
Oh,
up, click.
oh
And
wow.
and thank goodness, right?
That's scary. So, how do you teach people to be aware of scams and what to look for and what do you tell them?
So, I have many classes, as you know, Tracy. Of course, I hold a class for the Memory Cafe, this monthly meeting with lovely, lovely folks. And I also go ahead and teach classes at Frank Toby Jones and some other senior communities. What I do then is I have little handouts, right? And I talk about making sure that people know how to set up privacy settings in their Facebook, for example, privacy settings in different applications that they may use. It's very basic. I go through and talk about that. I also have a discussion about what scammers are looking for, right? I want folks to know it's not your fault. There is a whole bunch of folks. It's not just one person. They are working to get your information. And the type of information that they want is any type of number, identifying information, confirmation of your address, confirmation of your telephone number, that sort of thing. Even something as simple as, you know, did you fall at any time, or did you hurt your knee or your ankle or something at any time over the past 10 years, right?
Mhm.
I told you about this Medicare scam where we had someone actually from another state, call a client of ours and say, "Hi, Mr. Smith, we see here that you fell. Are you still having any pain?" Just by him saying yes, these scamsters, these fraudsters, went ahead, verified his home address, then sent him some medical devices that he did not ask for, along with a bill of lading and invoices and all that. So we have to remember that even if we don't give the information, sometimes nowadays big databases have been hacked.
Mhm.
So scammers simply want to confirm certain information so they can get whatever it is over to you.
So, okay, we also talked about you and I off air. We talked about how people with dementia were getting taken and what can families do about that and what signs should they look for?
Yes, absolutely. Families need to, if they can, go ahead and look at credit card bills, right? Review that, make sure there's nothing sort of strange in terms of that. If they are able to cut off their families from using the credit cards, ensure, of course, that your loved ones have an access to money if needed, right? If they need to buy
Mhm.
something or buy it for them, but make sure they don't have access to any live accounts. So that means you can limit their credit card. Perhaps it has a small amount of money in there so they're not withdrawing their whole life savings,
Mhm.
right? If they tend to do something like that and want to make sure that families keep their autonomy, um, you want to be able to have perhaps cash on hand so they're not panicking and think they don't have any money. But perhaps you want to give them a little bit of an allowance, right? So that they don't spend it all. So that's another key sort of protection is I ask folks to, go ahead and find a phrase that is meaningful to your loved one and to your family. Only a certain number of people should know what that security phrase is, right?
Mhm.
And so if your loved one asks, well, what's my favorite dessert, or what was my first dog, and that person doesn't know, well, that you have to teach your loved one to not reveal any type of information. So that includes credit card, Medicare, any information regarding the whole house, right?
Wow. Wow. Okay, so when you've got families that are panicking that have already been scammed, what do you advise them to do?
So your local police actually is not equipped to help you in this particular instance, unless, of course, it's a scam where they threaten to come to your home, right, and physically make some sort of connection with you. So go ahead, if you've been scammed, and send the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, an email or a phone call. Go ahead and call the Department of Justice, right, to get some assistance, right? And depending upon what the type of scam was, um, we can assist. So, for example, if you believe that you've given your number for the bank, call the bank immediately and let them know, hey, I think there's been a scam. I incorrectly gave a person some number. Please help me close my account, or that. They should help.
Excellent. Okay. So now, do you have any recommendations on your personal website for people if they log in? So if they don't remember what we've discussed today, do you have links to like the Justice Department? Do you have links to describe how to do the
I,
banking?
I can send it to them very easily. So
Okay,
if
so
they
they can reach
connect
out
with
to you
me, yeah,
and ask for that.
just reach
Okay,
out to me at Marie at commencementseniorcare.com, and I'm happy to send that information to you.
fantastic. So what other scams are going around right now that you can alert people to be aware of?
Well, holidays are coming, right? Winter is coming, and with that, the scammers.
Yep.
So be more afraid of them than the snow. Yeah, yeah. So, think about when you're going ahead and making purchases online, as many people do, right? Make sure that the site is a valid site and that, you can do that by taking your mouse and hovering over the name of the site just to make sure that it is spelled correctly, right? um, be careful of people who are basically claiming a lot of discounts. If a deal is too good to be true, it just might be too good to be true. So be aware. Be aware of websites that have just slight misspellings of a
Okay.
brand name, you know. So some things to think about there. Um, I often, talk to the people that I teach about the latest TikTok challenges. Sometimes a challenge comes around the holiday time, and I just want you to be aware of it. Go ahead and Google latest, sort of fraud challenges, so that way you're aware. Um, there are also these. Sort of affiliate loyalty card scam, so I want you to be aware of it. If you go to a big box store or just your grocery store, like your local Safeway or Albertsons, typically in the front there is a really nice display of cards, so you can purchase for restaurants and gift cards and the like, right?
Okay.
Those gift
Yep.
cards. I want people to, when you buy your gift card, make sure you turn it all the way around to make sure that the package has not been tampered with.
Ah.
Scammers often during holiday time will tamper with a package, take the package to the back of the store, put in or put on a different barcode on the inside,
Oh.
slip the gift card back inside the package, and hang it up to in the display area. Now, what people don't know is that that barcode that they went and slipped in goes into their fraudulent account, which is hard to trace. So when
Ah.
you pay money to the cashier and they scan that barcode and they give that money goes immediately to the fraudster.
Mm.
Okay? And it
That's
can't
painful.
be traced because it's like cash. So beware, it's holiday time.
So you talked about TikTok scams. Can you expand on that a little bit? What's a TikTok scam you're aware of?
Yes. So I want to say it was last year. There was a big TikTok scam on what's called the Kia Challenge and the Kia Boys. What happened there was a fair amount of people that figured out how to break into Kia cars, right? And they showed you how to do it in TikTok, step by step. And then they challenged other people to go ahead and follow those steps and record it and all that stuff. As a result, there are some folks, with not good intentions at all, bad actors that have taken that information and yet taken it to another step, another level, right? So not only have they done that challenge, but they're now using these cars to perpetrate other types of crime. So if you have a Kia, go ahead and talk to your Kia store, where you purchased the car, and just make sure you have additional knowledge, additional devices, whatnot, so that they cannot steal your car. Um, I'm told the old-fashioned steering wheel rods are back in fashion. So if you remember that, you are a senior. But those old-fashioned rods are now in fashion, so that people can't steal your car and move your car around without your permission.
Oh, fun. Okay, so that's the club. I own my age.
Yes,
I remember the club.
I remember that.
Oh my goodness. Well, see, I hadn't even considered that part of it because I was just thinking it was going to be where somebody called or maybe they showed up at the door and said they were someone. But uh, let's talk about internet scams also. So you were talking about websites, but are there like bait click sites up also?
A Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So a lot of the folks that I talk to in the senior community share their photos and share what's going on Facebook, of course. They tell folks, "Hey, this is what's happening. Good morning," and I warn folks, you be careful about publishing your birthday, right? Because that's a piece of information that fraudsters have right there. So people are super well intentioned. Your friends are well intentioned and want to wish you happy birthday. You maybe not put the exact date out there. So that's one thing. And go ahead and take a look at your privacy settings, right? And make the change in your privacy settings so that you're not broadcasting to everyone that it's Christmas time or holiday time and you have a whole load of presents for the grandkids in your home. So go ahead and sort of make sure in your privacy settings that you're set to your friends and your friends only, right? And not to the public. And so that is 9 out of 10 times when I talk to people about their privacy settings in a senior community, they don't know where their privacy settings are and they've got it set to public. So go ahead, set it to friends only, and that will really decrease that. There's also, if you scroll in the top left-hand corner of your Facebook, there'll sometimes be these little things that entice you to come and click on that, right? So click on this little message or whatnot, especially if you've been looking at something to buy or just some of your interests, really. Um, that there'll be that little message. Be aware that every time you make that click, they're tracking. They, meaning Facebook, is tracking what you click on.
Mhm.
So it might be someone with really bad intentions in there that's watching you.
So let's go back to the privacy settings so that people who aren't aware of this, where would they find the privacy settings on
Okay.
Facebook?
Yes. So thank you for asking. And they make it difficult for a reason, right? But if you go into Facebook, there is this little round tool. It's round, right? And it looks like a little tool with little sprockets, right? Go ahead and press into that, and there's all sorts of settings. You want to go down a couple of levels. It will say privacy settings. Go into that, and you don't just want to look at what your privacy settings are, you actually want to manage them, right? So go into and manage your privacy settings, right? And look at what it will tell you whether you share your information with the public or just your friends or just for yourself. And you want to go ahead and click your friends, which is that second radial button. Your friends.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, 'cause I know that we sat in on a meeting and many of us didn't even know where that was.
Yeah, it's
I'm
different
not
for
alone.
every phone, yeah, right? You're not alone. It's different for every phone, every sort of setup that people have. Um, as you know, as seniors, some folks have set up their Facebook to look very big, and some folks it's very small. So you have to work on it a little bit and find where that information is.
So I just love this conversation. Um, so what other things do you generally talk to people about when you are speaking publicly or talking to families to make them aware of things to watch out for?
there's so many things to watch out for. But right now, we've been concentrating on the social media portion for the couple of months. I then going into holiday time, we do talk about, or I do talk about holiday scams. Very specifically around this time, November and December, uh, there are trends, and as you know, scammers are business people, right? So their businesses evolve and change, and it's fluid. And there might be some changes. There's definitely some changes, for example, that I'll talk about from year to year about different types of scams.
So what are we looking at this year coming up? Do you know?
I don't know yet. There's
Okay.
more to come. I
Okay.
will talk about that next month at the Memory Cafe. So hopefully people will come and join us at the Memory Cafe. You can also ask me for that information come November around that time because I'll be sharing that with many of the communities that I talk to.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. So, uh, what else does Seniors Helping Seniors do?
So we do go ahead for me. I spend a lot of time talking to and retraining caregivers, making sure that our caregivers are aware of the needs of our senior community here in Gig Harbor. Then I pair them up with people that need companions or just caregiving, people who are recovering from maybe an illness, that sort of thing. We really do get involved in their special care meaning that if there is physical therapy or occupational therapy or anything that we can bring to their home, we try to do that as much as possible. So my caregivers may get instruction from occupational therapists or physical therapists. And I want them to get that instruction so there's continuity in the therapy for our patients.
Excellent. Excellent. So, I'm going to dial us back a little bit. How do you walk someone through when they've been scammed? How do you teach them to recover, or do you teach them to recover from being scammed?
Well, the classes I offer are small, in person classes. That is intentional, right? Because I don't just want to give tips. I want to give people a space so that we can talk about all the feelings that come with being scammed or come with being a victim, quite frankly. Right? It's not their fault that they're victimized. I want to offer that safe space where they can talk amongst their peers in an open and kind manner and talk about, what happened, uh, where and when were you vulnerable, right? And it's okay. Everybody has a moment where they feel vulnerable. It doesn't have to be a senior, and it's really important to acknowledge that. You may have a moment where you feel a little weak, or you feel a little lonely, or you're feeling a little sad, and they happen to have gotten you at that time, and it's all right, right? We can recover from it, and that recovery process is talking about what happened, right? You're okay. What kind of help do you need? What happened, so that we can understand what kind of help you need, and I can somehow direct you to a proper agency that you can contact. Who is it that you can help you in this process so they can help advocate for you if you're uncomfortable trying to do it yourself, right? So things like that. That's what we talk about.
Fantastic. Because I know the amount of emotion that goes through and the shock when you are scammed and suddenly realize that, because most of us think, oh, I will never ever get scammed. And so the first time it happens to us, we're going to be in denial and shock and then ashamed
Yes,
because
and
we got duped. Yeah.
absolutely. And you don't want to talk about it, and maybe not to your even closest friends because you're not sure what sort of reception you're going to get, right? And that's why I do this. I want people to know no one's going to judge you here when you're with, our little group of people. We're going to talk about what happened. It's perfectly okay. You can talk about other friends as well. Bring your loved ones to the conversation so that they're also aware that this is not necessarily about age,
Yeah.
right? Or not necessarily about a particular illness, right? It's a moment of vulnerability. And some of our folks, as you know, with dementia are more vulnerable than others. So there's more we have to do to protect them.
Okay. Now that's a perfect segue to my next question. Family members taking advantage of someone with another family member with dementia. Are there avenues to protect the person that was being abused, basically?
Absolutely. There's always a place to go. And these folks can be reported, right, to the Washington State Adult Protection Agency. um, Someone who's witnessed something, a scam or a concern, can go ahead and call them and report the individual to make sure that that is checked out.
Perfect, perfect. So for the people around the country that are watching this and around the globe, definitely check with Adult Protective Services if you would whatever it is locally.
Yes, yes, and they should investigate, right?
Mhm.
Also, caregivers, mine are, they sign a contract saying if they see something, hear something, they need to report it, they need to talk to us, we will investigate it. Um, Really, it's safety is of the utmost.
So, okay, that leads me to the next one. You're very perceptive. But okay, so if you have outside caregivers coming in that are not family members, uh, how do we protect our loved ones if the person is less than upright?
Mm. So keep financial information and that sort of thing away, right? So obviously, checkbooks, credit cards, place it in a different place, in a secure place, right?
Okay,
If perhaps your caregiver has been instructed to take your loved one to the bank for some reason, make sure that your loved one has signed for the amount and ask for the receipt, right? So you
okay,
can see how much was taken out and who
good,
was signed for it. And they'll
good.
often do that. A good caregiver, and that's how mine are taught, is you give your patients space, right? So if you're walking into a branch, right, go ahead and help them up to the window, right? Make sure they're stable. Then go ahead and step a couple of steps down, and out of the way. So you're out of the public way, but not right there, right in front of or beside your patient, so that they have privacy to conduct their business, right? If it is a drive through type of situation and you're picking up a lot of things with the patient because they like to be outside, that's okay. That's absolutely all right. But go ahead and if you're the caregiver and you're driving, go ahead and ask for an envelope to have the cash in. Ask the teller to go ahead and seal it if they would like, or count it right out loud. So you're not being asked to handle the money and count it. They're counting it. Your loved one can see it, that it's being counted, and go ahead and hand the envelope to your patient.
Oh, that's wonderful advice. So we are getting down to the last few minutes of the show.
Oh
Are there
no! Look the
I
snooze up.
know. So, are there any like, we've got a couple minutes left. So, are there any other tips that you wanna share that we haven't covered yet?
I think we handled the essential tips, but I do want to let your audience know that they should go ahead and share this knowledge, right? this is knowledge, this is education, this is not only for your loved one, but for yourself, and everybody around you, right? It used to be that I want to say 20 years ago, we had key phrases for our kids, right? When we went to pick them up, if the person or babysitter didn't have that key phrase, your kids wouldn't go with them. Same for our dementia loved ones, right? They should have a key phrase. Um, the people around them that are caring for them should know about that, just to make sure they can be picked up and they're the right person, and all that. um, this is important if you have multiple caregivers that are you're picking up your father, for example, from the hospital, from the dentist, and taking them to appointments, and then taking care of them at home, right? And then there should be another key phrase for folks that need to have financial information.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, it's, uh, I know we've had issues in my family where, we had very many issues, but that would have been a lovely thing to think about. We hadn't even realized we should have used a key phrase, and it could have mitigated some of the issues that we had.
Yeah,
That, it's just knowledge. If you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Oh, I'm so happy you came on my show today.
This is
Thank
so
you.
much fun.
Oh, so, um, we're just about ready to wrap up here. So, do you have any last little tidbits you want to share with the audience?
um, if you're around, come visit us, please. I'm having a talk about the scams at Memory Cafe in November, so come and see us. We're going to be in Gig Harbor, and I also have another class for Frank Toby Jones this November, again talking about holiday scams.
Okay. Well, Marie, thank you for joining us. And I want to say that we'll be back on November 19th, and our guest will be Deanna Vigliota from Seni USA. We'll be talking about incontinence, ways to prevent urinary tract infections, ways to prevent bed sores, falls, and we'll talk about continence products that actually work. In the meantime, you can go over to our YouTube channel at USA Global TV and Radio and look for the Dementia Home Care playlist, where you'll find all our past episodes. Thank you to the wonderful Dr. Jacqueline for all her hard work behind the scenes today, and thank you to our sponsors for making this possible. See you next time.